Commissioners Court to order here. We do have a quorum, and with that, I'm going to ask Deacon Michael Williams from St. Paul's to please pray for us and get us started here. If you will, please stand.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, you sent your Son among us to proclaim the kingdom of God in cities, towns, and villages. Behold this and visit this, we pray, the community of Cooke County. Renew the bonds of charity that uphold our civic life. Keep our leaders honest and able. Deliver us from poverty, prejudice, and oppression. And watch over our law enforcement and EMS workers. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
We do appreciate that, and I'll tell you, like we tell everybody else, if you would like to stay and visit with us for court today, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, leave anytime you want to. But thank you very much for being here. And with that, Commissioner Sickey, would you lead our pledges?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right. I'd like to welcome everybody here today. Do we have anybody signed up for public comments on anything? All right. With that, item number 6 would be the consent agenda. And the consent agenda includes non-controversial and routine items that the court may act on with one single vote. The judge or commissioner may pull any item from the consent agenda in order that the court discuss and act upon it individually as part of the regular agenda.
Can we pull K, Judge?
Pull K.
Yeah.
Okay. Item K is pulled. Let's deliberate and consider possible action regarding the lease agreement between Cooke County and Dustin Machine for the lease of a Kyocera 4054 CI copy machine located in the Cooke County Court of Law. The lease will be $205.25 a month for 60 months. All right, item K will be dealt with at a later time. All right.
Motion approved with exception of K.
All right. Motion to approve Commissioner Snuggs with the exception of item K. Second, Commissioner Sicking. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And there are none. The consent agenda, with the exception of item K, passes 5-0. And what would you like to say about item K?
My question about item K, I think I saw an email that said we're paying 12% interest. Is that true?
Yes. We have to start recording our leases on our financial report, and I have to get the interest rate we're being charged, and Dustin's is charging us 12%.
Okay.
I haven't gotten Xerox yet.
Yeah. But typically, we buy Xerox, well, we bought some of them outright.
About 3 or 4.
Yeah. Is that something, guys, we need to go back and look at? Is if we can afford to, is to pay for those things instead of pay credit card interest rates? What?
So what's a new machine run?
Yeah.
60 months at 205.
Somewhere in the $12,000 range with interest, if that's including interest.
Yeah, I can too.
12.3.
I mean, we're probably paying $3,000 in interest on that, or maybe just a touch more across the whole life of it. So it's about a $9,000 machine. You know, it's it's not a bad plan, but if we're shoveling a bunch of money out on other things, you know, this helps us extend it. We're not paying for it all at once. It's kind of,
Of course, we may want to go back and look across the county and see how many copy machines we have, and now we could possibly have the ability to share them.
at the end of these leases, Shelley, is there like a $1 buyout type of deal, or is it just straight up lease?
It's not a $1 buyout. There's usually money.
We're better off buying them up front then.
And then the maintenance agreement's tied to them, and
We're better off buying one probably and then just buying a maintenance agreement.
y'all want to table this and kick it around, you'll make a decision.
I wouldn't mind tabling.
See what the cost is.
Have we bought outright before, Shelley? Have we always looked
About 3 or 4 of them.
about 3 or 4 of them? How did that work out?
We end up usually leasing again after a few years because technology changes.
Okay.
But $3,000 is a third of a down payment on a new one. I don't know. Again, it's certainly easy enough now to go out and select a printer just like we do off our phones. I can sit here and print in the commissioner's office. I can print in the judge's office. I don't know why we couldn't do that from our desktops if we needed to.
Some of them do a whole lot more than just print.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's some that you absolutely, I mean, the district clerks know they've got to have, but, you know, it would just,
Know how much maintenance they do on them things a year?
And it's got a monthly,
monthly fee on top of all
yeah,
that.
monthly fee on top of
Yeah,
that.
you can
for
go
per
back up
copy.
to $488 a year if you go back up to item I. So in addition to that monthly payment, you're,
Well, let's see, are you wanting to bring this back on the next court? Would you like to do some research on this one, or?
it's up to the court, guys. I just bring it to your attention. To me, it would probably be worthwhile to at least see what the cost is of a machine outright. But,
What office is this one going in?
Yeah, court law.
yeah.
As long as we're not gonna put them in a bind without a machine or
Oh,
something.
they've got a
They
machine.
have a machine.
Yeah, and I just think it warrants research.
I do too. I
We may say, hey, wait a minute, lease is the way to go. But we're leasing and paying maintenance fees, and if we're paying 12% interest, and we know until recently, interest has been virtually nothing. And have we paid that for the last 2 or 3 or 4 years? Do you have any idea?
What?
The 10, it was 10
It
going
was
to 12,
10.
right?
He went up
Yeah.
12 this year.
I need to talk to my local banker and see if we can do better than that.
Well, would you like to make a motion and research this and bring it back next court?
Like I said, I hadn't heard back from Xerox yet. Pitney Bowes doesn't charge us anything. Nortex doesn't charge us anything. The John Deere leases y'all have had charge us 2.5.
I will, but I hate to look like I'm trying
No,
to
I
ramrod the
agree.
court.
I agree. I'd like to look at it too, look at versus buying versus leasing.
In the past, they've been about $7,800. And then you pay the yearly maintenance of $400 or $500.
And we might get more years out of them than 4 or 5. And, and it might be as we upgrade for the ones that use them more, that we take the older ones and transition them to some of the offices that don't use them as much.
Well,
And we've done that.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion to table this?
Now, if we're gonna bring it back and if Mr. Hollowell's going to research it and then bring it back in 2 weeks, I think so.
Well, one, I wouldn't table it because we have to bring it back exactly, which means there's no options, is that
Right.
correct?
Right.
So we need to take no action.
All right. So with that, taking no action on item K, do we want to go ahead and say bring it back in 2 weeks or as a regular agenda item?
Whenever we can get the
You
information.
know, if we can get our research done, it may take some of the vendors longer to gather it up, but,
Well, it might be no action again 2 weeks from now, but it probably ought to come back as a regular agenda
yeah,
item.
absolutely. I just don't know. 2 weeks, we coordinate it.
Okay. Well, with that, I'll tell you, let's just go no action on item K and move on. Did you get that, ma'am? Okay. All right. Item number 7 is consider and possibly approve budget amendment for the jail to move salary funds to extra help and overtime. Sheriff Sappington, would you please speak to us?
Well, we have to do this every year, because of shortages in the jail, so we currently have 6. So, because we have 6 vacancies, we have salary money sitting there, we're having to offset that with overtime and pay folks to come in. 6 is almost a complete shift, it takes 7 to run back in general population, so that's almost a whole shift, so that means somebody is working a day off every day. So that's why we need to move the monies out of salary that we're sitting there with to overtime.
Money's there, right, Shelley? No problem.
No problem.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Commissioner Hollowell, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Snuggs. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
You know here?
There are none. Item number 7 passes 5-0. Item number 8 would be to consider and possibly approve EMS to move money to collection expense.
Good morning.
Money.
As all of you know, we use an outside billing agent, Emergency Con, to do our billing, and they take a percentage of what they collect. And apparently they've been doing a better job than expected because we're short on that money for that. The figure that we're suggesting is projected to get us out of this fiscal year, hopefully.
He needs money.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to give him some?
I'll make the motion to approve.
There is a motion to approve, Commissioner Hart.
Where are you gonna take the money
Yeah.
from?
Oh, I thought, that's what I was looking to see if it was on here.
I
We'll
thought it was
add
coming
that
out
to
of
yours.
his, not coming out of the income coming in or not?
We have a little bit of contingency, you want to do that, or the treasurer mortgage.
That'd be a good place to pull it from.
You're talking about contingency or?
Inmate housing or contingency.
Okay. You want to add that to your motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve and take it out of the inmate housing fund.
All right.
I would second that. What we're doing is paying them to do the collection, so it's money coming back.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we need that repeated, Pam, or did you get that? Okay. Second, Commissioner Hollowell. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? There are none. Item number 8 passes 5-0. Item number 9, discuss the shooting berm at the county firing range, 100 feet across, 30 feet deep, and 20 feet high. Discuss contracting work versus completing in-house, utilizing county employees and equipment.
All right. I know you guys are probably hot and heavy into chip seal right now, turning and burning, and so I'm not talking about right now, but I was wondering if in the fall, when you do slow down in that regard, if you thought, and this is me thinking, I just wanted to have a discussion with you about if one of you, each of you could maybe appoint or lend a hand, one of your workers, and to go out to the old Precinct 3 barn and construct this berm. Or you have 3 bids, or you should have 3 bids in your packet. The lowest one was $18,800, one of them was $20,000, and one of them was $30,500. So what's y'all's thoughts about us doing it?
I'm more than willing to lend a hand and equipment or labor whenever we do get into the little cooler season.
Our business will slow down in the fall.
Yep.
I mean, October, November, I'll help out. I haven't been out there to look to see what it's gonna take.
Is there enough dirt there? Or we
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We got plenty of dirt.
There's plenty of fill there. It might be better, some of the piles are of a distance that, say, 100 yards or so from where it needs to be, so it might need a truck, a dump truck, a loader, and then, of course, a dozer to
Take
pile
some
it
12
up.
yards out there. Take some 12 yards, a couple of loaders.
You actually have a dozer, don't you?
I do not. I have what works as,
I got it.
You got, Matt's got one.
Yes, great.
We've got,
we do
We've
about
got
as
a
much with that
bucket.
963 as we do with a dozer.
but when you're building something like that, it is nice to have a,
Yeah.
a blade on the front.
And we can use them dual purpose to load the trucks if we need to.
No, we're more than willing to make that happen. That'd save a lot of money.
Well, on a minimum, almost $19,000 was the lowest bid, so we might put that to better use as far as, we'd like to put like a Connex out there, a little bit closer. Adam, did the barn get tore up the other day?
No, we didn't have any problems. Right west of there we did, but the
Okay.
barn didn't take any hit.
But anyway, yeah, we could utilize that money,
It's
somewhere
It's
else.
premature, but when you go Connex container shopping, be sure and get it vented.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you want to designate a point of contact or one of your hands to be a point of contact for the leader or whatever, coordinate?
that when the time
Let's wait to
comes.
get a little closer.
Okay.
Sounds like a good joint project here anyway, so who made the motion? Was that you, Jason?
This is a discussion item.
It was just discussion.
We'll just talk about it when
Okay.
it's a little closer.
Okay. I would like to say, I got Riley Messler, my communications supervisor, sitting in here this morning. Today is Riley's last day on the job with the county. He's accepted a position with Decatur ISD in emergency management. Riley's been a great asset for the department, for the county. He was there when we implemented the new radios. He's been there through the SSI software upgrade. And anyway, he's been a credible asset. I think he saved us a lot of money. He's helped in a lot of ways, and just want to appreciate him. I hate to see him go, but
And whatnot. The other option is just a cash dispensing machine, which would be inside the vestibule. So we would prefer the through the wall ATM. Realizing that that's going to take a little bit longer to do because there's obviously some modifications, some fabrication that we're going to have to do. The engineering architect firm that we're using to construct our new facility, they would manage that piece of it as well. I was hoping to get some renderings from them and some cost estimates, but I didn't have them this morning. But they ensure us that they can do that and then return it to its current condition, 100% confident. So with that being said, I don't know specifically how that would work, but they don't seem to have a problem with doing that, making the necessary modifications.
We'd be
And
happy
that-
to rent y'all that spot for the whole future, you know?
What's that?
We can rent y'all that spot in the wall forever, you know?
Yeah.
We can make money.
Do you not intend to leave that there once we occupy it?
Yeah, Adam had mentioned that as well. I mean, we can talk about what we could do. I know that machine, it's relatively new. It's coming from a bank that we recently acquired, and we closed their location, so it's one that we would potentially move across the street into our facility. But we could also look at doing something in a partnership with the county if you wanted to leave it there. You probably would not need that level of ATM for your use, because like I said, it has a capacity to accept deposits and do other transactions besides just cash. But, you know, we can obviously
My
talk about it.
concern, because we don't know what we're gonna put in there, I mean, on the temporary basis, if you guys remove it when you vacate the bank, that's one thing. If the intent is to make it permanent and leave it protruding inside that lobby area, that's a whole different animal. In this one, in other words, the body of the machine's gonna sit inside the building with the face being
Yes.
flush with the exterior
Right.
wall.
Mhm.
And because we don't know what we're gonna do in the future, I think, temporary, maybe not a big deal, other than that's probably got that brushed rock looking front right there, doesn't it? Whatever the exterior, if we take it out and put it back, can you match
It's just glass. It's glass all the way
Is it
down.
just glass right there? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's temporary, it's one thing. If it's permanent, I would be hesitant to house it inside the lobby.
Yeah.
And of course, the vestibule is, I don't see it being a security issue with the perimeter doors. The very perimeter doors unlocked and the interior locked. I don't see it any more risk than, if they're gonna break glass, they're gonna break glass.
Right, yeah.
So I mean,
It doesn't matter to me one way or the other, I guess, as long as they felt like they could return it.
you okay with this? And I mean, that's.
What's that? They're both temporary.
Yeah,
Yes.
both
temporary.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one through the vestibule, it would, be anchored into the floor there. There's that indoor-outdoor carpet that's in that area. So, I mean, if y'all needed to, we could just replace the carpet once we were done and fill the holes. The one on the interior, we would secure it at the wall. We wouldn't anchor it into that terrazzo flooring because we would want to disrupt it or.
Took the wall back out, you put the glass, there would be no sign of it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. As long as it's temporary, I think it's a no-brainer. Let them do what they want to.
Yeah.
But if we're talking permanent, I would be opposed to inside the lobby.
Well, there's a wall that does come back there on that one side that goes over to the steps.
Yeah, there's a planter right there. So
Yeah,
there's
that one side.
on the inside as well as the outside.
And that's a little bit of security issue, I guess, because you're blocked by the wall on one side and the vestibule on the other. So it's kind of I'm in there collecting my money, and that to me looks like more of a security issue
Mm-hmm.
than putting it in the vestibule.
Right, yeah.
And that's the bank's call.
So on the, if they
It's about road as it is long, I
do
mean,
this one,
walls are not
you're
damaging anything, you put the
Yeah,
back like
that's
it
kind of
is.
what, yeah.
Mhm.
which is just out there.
Yeah, it's basically that metal framing of the window, and they're just putting those
I mean,
window
it's
panes back in or
temporary,
replacing with
right?
new
So
windows,
that would be
with new
more
glass.
beneficial to y'all, right?
Yeah, it'd be more secure.
Stuff that way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
more features with it, and then it'd be a little bit more secure inside the lobby, at least
I'd make
theoretically.
I make the motion if it's temporary, let the bank make the call.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to let the bank decide where they want to put the ATM as long as it's temporary, from Commissioner Hollowell.
Let's define temporary as when they vacate the
Right.
bank, they
Yes,
take
it
their.
will go with, it'll be there, yeah.
And I mean,
Yes.
at that time, if it's something that we want to look at letting it stay, we can cross that bridge and come to it.
Right.
What y'all think?
I think so.
But it sounds like it's more advantageous to add it to their new building
I would think so,
for
too.
being able to do maintenance on it
Yeah.
from inside and stuff of that nature. So if they left one, it probably wouldn't be that caliber.
Right.
And we have a second from Commissioner Snuggs. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? There are none.
All right, thank you.
Item number 10 passes 5-0.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Appreciate it.
Item number 11 is to deliberate and consider possible action of, or possible approval of amending contract with co-file for the district clerk. Original contract was signed on 10/11/2021.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm back. So I'm not sure what you want me to explain. Right now, I did have the county attorney to look at the contracts. If you have any questions on that, I believe they're in good standing as far as I'm speaking with Mr. Zelinski, and that was my determination. I also have Jack with CoFile back with us if you have any questions of him. I would like to see if that we go forward with the pre-preservation of these documents from 1848 to 1920. And I know we kind of got in lengthy discussion last time, and I don't know how much discussion we really need to go into this time, but I'm here if you have any questions. Jack and Ed are both here if you have questions as well.
You and I talked about this ago.
Yes, sir.
And at this point in time, I would make the motion that we go ahead and change the contract with co-file to amend everything to what do you call that?
Pre-preservation.
Pre-preservation. And also go with the original, or with the
309, I believe it was.
contract, which will carry it through to 1920, if I'm not mistaken.
2026.
Okay. And the completion of the contract, anyway.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes. So sorry, yes, 1848 to 1920, yes.
Okay.
My apologies.
All right, then. Do I need to clarify that motion, Pam, or do you have it? Motion is made.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Arndt,
Discussion.
go ahead.
This contract's still based on estimated numbers,
Exactly.
okay? That's $176,000 over the next 3 years. I don't know if any of you guys have looked at Shelley's preliminary budget numbers. Sounds like we're going to be, instead of $6 million shortfall, this next year it's going to be 7 or more.
The 309 numbers in the budget.
It's there, but to do that, you got to take it out of savings. I mean, the only way,
There.
I mean, just because we put these numbers in the budget, folks, if we pass it as is, you're going to take is it 7 million now, Shelley? Or is it, I saw numbers made me think it might be 12 million, depending on which budget choice.
Well, just for general fund, if you go with no raises for the employees, it's 7.7, and if you go with all raises for everybody, 7.9.
So, guys, record preservation's a great thing, but it may be at some point we're having to decide whether or not we want to do records preservation or we want to fund emergency services, law enforcement, and everybody else. So, having said that, you can call your vote, Judge.
Any further discussion?
What about, you and I talked a little bit about it, you said possible extension.
There is another contract that they have brought along today that is a possibility. What that does is it keeps the current amount at $250,892 for the next 3 years, 24, 25, and 26. And then the year 2027, they would put that $176,498.34 at the end, at no additional interest or anything. And Jack, do you want to clarify that that is the final number and it will not be more? Do you want to clarify that, please?
That's correct.
Come up here, please.
You want to, it just saves that final year. Just saves that final year is what this does.
It adds a year, Judge.
That's what I mean. Oh, no, I'm saying the motion as it is now,
Oh.
you
Would
don't
not
pay
be that
that final
20%.
year, that 178,000.
And Jack, Marcy said that number won't change, but the contract still says it's an estimate on number of documents, doesn't it?
I'm sorry, sir.
I think if I heard Marcy correctly, she just stated that that number, that final number won't change, but that contract is still based on an estimate of number of documents, is it not?
It is. It is actually, if you look at the number of pages, the estimation was 642,000, and it has been bumped up an extra 8,000 pages to offset it. So if anything, it will be less, not more. So I made sure that we did not have to do this again. We are, the number that you see, it'll be that number or less.
And at that price, we're getting pre-preservation versus full preservation, which the initial contract was.
Right.
Pre-preservation, image indexing, and formatting it so it can be loaded.
You have that contract for me to sign today to change it to pre. I think the existing contract goes for full, does it not?
So the contract that's in your packet it does change it to pre-preservation.
Right.
And then if you wanted to do that year 2027, we do have that contract as well.
We can change the estimate to final number, right?
Well, the estimated number is about 8,000 more than what is actually there. So that final number is going to be less. So that's why, the reason why they can only give estimated numbers is because they may find a little bitty tiny piece of paper in there that has to be scanned and preserved. But all the numbers that you see here have been counted in-house. They were not counted on-site. They have been counted in-house with Profile with their employees down there.
And the discussion with my company was that I don't want to do this again. Here's the number. Guys, I have to have as close, accurate as it possibly can be, and the 642,000 was the number that was given, and I bumped it up another 8,000 to ensure that if we missed a small piece of paper, we're protected. But I did talk to the company, is no matter what, even if it comes up to 10,000, it will not go over that dollar figure.
But when you say less, you don't mean money-wise, you mean scanning
My
paper-wise.
understanding from him, and I'll let him be on that too, my understanding from Jack is that if that number comes in less on the number of pages, our dollar amount will be less. But in no way will it be more than the 176,498.34.
So to clarify, Shelley, is if it's under, we're going to bill you per page. If it's over, we're going to eat the overage.
So the additional per year is the 176 divided by 3?
Right.
It is that 58,831 and change that got added on to the 250 the next 3 years.
That takes your total investment to $1.4 million. When you get ready to call the vote, will you roll call it, Judge?
The,
Say again?
Will you roll call the vote when you get ready?
but that 1.4, is that all for your office, or was that,
No, that's only mine.
okay.
That's only mine.
mean, we're so far into this at this point, you know, another 58 a year to get it done, which I'm disappointed in how the contract went and how it's an estimate and how we're so far behind. I think it's,
But it won't be done. The thing is, we're not gonna get done.
well, yeah, there's other stuff, but she says she can take over and do it in office from 20 up. I totally agree with everything you're saying, and I agree with everything on the budget, but I just feel like at this point, we're so far into it, we just need to finish it, you know. I know that if in my personal businesses, if I did bids and estimates like that and missed it by $1 million, you know, I'd be out of business, but you know, that's neither here nor there.
But now we are doing business and it's tax dollars and funding it and, you know, it's, I mean, do
agree.
we keep throwing money at it? But anyway, I'm
But
done now.
but if we stop, we've got to,
You've got another $750,000 before you stop. You're into it for another $750 if you do nothing. Which is 1.2. They're just adding another 176 to it and not getting what we initially.
Okay, we
Contract with.
have, any further discussion, anybody? We have a motion on the floor, we have a second, we have a request for a roll call vote. Commissioner Hollowell.
Nay.
How would you vote?
Nay.
Commissioner Hollowell is nay. Commissioner Snuggs?
aye.
Commissioner Snuggs is aye. Commissioner Arndt?
Aye.
Is aye. And Commissioner Sicking
Uh,
is aye. And I am aye. So that motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. And do I get to sign that today, or
Well,
Which one?
Which one are you gonna
the
sign?
one that, first of all, the one that changes it to free? That's what we've talked about so long. Okay. And the other one is the 309.
To go to the 309?
I believe that's the
The
existing,
309.
if I'm not mistaken.
I have a 309.
Where are you gonna get the money?
Judge,
Yes.
the vote wasn't 4-0.
I'm sorry, it's 4-1. Thank you for correcting me.
And where we gonna get the money? Is that there? Oh, it's, you put it in the budget. Okay.
Yeah.
Under preservation. Okay. Once we sign it, we can't change that in the budget line.
Right, that was going to stay.
Does he need to write this minute?
You can. As soon as I get something, I tell them to get after it.
Want to write down?
Well, it's still gonna be filed with you. We're gonna get
Okay.
copies and stuff, and then
We'll get
we'll
it
to
to you
this
then.
afternoon, because I have the same
That's
copy
fine.
here that you picked.
It's this very same one, same one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a different one than I put in the packet.
It is different. Okay, so I just get rid of this one. Here, yes. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, item number 12, we're going to open a public hearing. It is 10:41. That's going to concern the preservation and restoration of the county clerk record archive funds and plan for 2024. And who wishes to speak to this? Pam, or you,
We need to close it first.
Gordon?
We need to close it first, and then I speak on to that.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, when we get
Yes.
to that. The public hearing is open at 10:41. Does anybody wish to speak? There is none. All right, item number 13 is to close the public hearing, and we'll close the public hearing at 10:42. And with that, item number 14, deliberate and consider possible approval of county clerk archive funds and plan for 2024.
So just because we got a few new on the court, I'll kind of explain a little bit why we're doing this. So Government Code 118 says the county clerk shall prepare an annual written plan for funding the automation projects and records management and preservation services performed by the clerk. After a public hearing, the plan shall be considered for approval by the Commissioners Court. And then the funds from the records management and preservation account may be expended only provided by the plan. So the plan is in the records. course, that first page is just the noteworthy things, but I'm going to go over the plan a little bit just for the new ones on the court. So, of course, page 2 explains, basically goes through the history. The first few pages is the history of the records and preservation fee. When it was in 2001 was when the legislature passed to assess the $5 for preservation. And then through the years, I think the first time the county did their annual budget for it was 2003. And then in 2013, it went from 5 to 10. That's when that happened. And that was, when that happened, it was, I think it was for 5 years. And then in 2019, they came back and made it permanent. So that fee is permanent as long as we're collecting it and have preservation work to do. If we ever get everything done, of course, we can stop collecting that fee. But it's permanent for the counties that do have work to do. And then on page 3, it explains in 2022, when they kind of changed the civil and probate fees, that's kind of when the county stopped getting their $22.50, how Shelley explained the other day. And that just explains how we collect on them fees. And then after that, pages 4, 5, and 6 are all just, goes through all the years, all the statutes. I'm not going to go through all that. If y'all wanted to read it, you could. And so then when you get down to page 7, I have my annual revenue estimate, what I estimated that I should collect in 2024 for my records management preservation that I basically collect through my front office and the archive fee. That's $10 every time somebody records a document. It's $10 for records management and $10 for records archive. And then I also collect $1 on vital preservation, and then of course my civil and probate and criminal. So that's my estimated revenue. And then after that, I have my budget expenditures, what I have budgeted for, and then what I have proposed, my projects that I'm proposing to do in 2024. So that first one is my recording system that we pay out of the records management. We pay for that system, and it went up this year, so we budgeted $90,000 for that. And then my co-file or my project that I'm wanting to do this year is doing some of my vital record books, birth and death, and my election books, and that is around 77,000. And then my Fiddler Property Fraud Alert annual support fee. So I just have that. And then after that, on page 8 and 9, that's kind of going through the project that we've done in the past, kind of explaining what we've done and what's been completed and the cost, so you can kind of see what we've done and what's been all completed. So on page 9.
But this is since you've taken office, right?
A little bit is before me, and then before that, yeah, Becca didn't really put it in the plan, so it was kind of hard to go back. So yeah, basically it's that 5-year plan that did start, and then I finished it.
Because you've spent more money than this.
Oh yeah, lots more than
Yeah.
that. Yeah, there's a lot of projects, books, mostly the books, and through the years getting our official public records archive, but she didn't ever put that in her plan, so someday I'd like to research it and find all that, but it's kind of hard to go back and find that when it was somebody else's projects and she didn't give me them records. But yeah, lots more have been spent. That's just since 2018, I think, 2016. So I have on there my in-house projects where I'm still taking my probate records and sleeving them and putting them in folders, and they're stored over at the annex in the climate control. And then I have that part-time clerks who, Avenue has scanned my criminal records back to the actually 1978 or something like that. And I have them on a disc, but they have to be moved into our case management system. So that's what my part-time clerk's doing now. And that's still in the process. I know every year I say I feel like we're going to get that finished, and then it's just taking longer. It's just a lot of work. She's got to do the data entry, then she's got to move the files into that system. And then the county burst that Avenue was not able to do, we're still scanning them and putting it into my Avenue system. And we've got through the S's. I think we'll have that done possibly in a couple of months. We'll have all them county bursts in our system now. And then that's about it. I also have on my noteworthy topics, I explain my fiddler, and they sent me, if y'all see this in there, it's just something Fiddler sent me showing how many alerts have been sent out, how many people have joined. And when they sent this out the first of the year, it was $697, but last time I checked, it was actually over 750 members have signed up to get that Fiddler alert, property alert. So if you're not signed up, you should get signed up. I mean, it doesn't prevent it from happening, but if somebody files something in your name, you will get an alert for that. And then I went ahead and put the project agreement in there. We're not signing it today, or I'm not asking approval for that. I just thought if you wanted to kind of see what books I was doing, that's in there if you wanted to look at that. Any questions about the plan? I mean, we have to, if we don't approve this plan, then I can't spend that money.
Move to approve.
Motion Commissioner Hollowell to approve item number 15.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Snuggs. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? There are none. 15 passes 5-0. Item number 16, deliberate and consider possible action regarding FY 2024 budget.
What,
15.
See what now?
Mine was 14, you said it was 15.
Mine's 15. Do I have a different?
Should be deliberate, and number 15 is deliberate and consider possible approval of changing the new internet.
I'm sorry.
service
My mistake. Item number 14 passes 5-0. You're absolutely right. Item number 15 is deliberate and consider possible approval of changing to a new internet service provider at Rice Avenue EMS. Commissioner Arnold, what do you know about this?
Wes is sitting here, Judge.
Wes?
Daryl did it.
Daryl did it. Okay.
Oh,
Speak up, Daryl.
Would you like to speak to it, Daryl?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We recently experienced a week-long internet outage at the Rice Avenue EMS station, and with the difficulty of getting in touch with tech support for the current provider and the difficulty in getting the repair done, I'd like to recommend that we switch to Nortex for that. They have a good track record of fast response for their tech support and taking care of us when we need problems fixed, and we did not have that with the current provider. In addition, we'll save $100 a month by doing that, so that to me seems like a good move.
Who's the current provider?
Right now we're with Optimum.
Okay, so I'm sure whenever we signed up with them, Nortex hadn't made it out there anyways.
That's true. The Nortex fiber wasn't there, and I'd been talking to them for several years, but now they are in that area.
they ran the fiber to support the tower. Wes, would you step up here just a minute, please?
The telephones are through AT&T, and the internet and cables through Optimum.
Can we switch the
hang on.
phones, put them on Nortex as well?
Yes, sir.
If we can,
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
we can switch and put the phones on Nortex as well, and I don't think it doesn't cost very much either.
That's the whole package, $100 savings off of what.
And that's all of it? Oh, okay, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
Sorry.
Are there any penalties involved if we switch providers?
We're not under a contract on Optimum.
Okay, great.
Wes, do you know, have you guys got smart TVs?
I'm sorry?
Do you guys have smart TVs at the EMS stations?
Yes. Yes, sure.
Do we have adequate internet at all 5 stations?
Yes.
Okay. Are we paying a direct TV bill or a cable bill for all 5 stations?
Yes.
With
Yes.
smart TVs and internet, is there not enough access to television and screening that we might eliminate cable services or direct TV services?
Yes, and in fact, at the Munster EMS station, we're already on streaming TV. And for this switch, we would also get streaming TV as part of the package.
But are you paying more for TV service that you can get for free via the internet?
That's a good question. The package that Northex offers us is 30 channels basic for $55 a month.
Right, and if we can get that for free, local channels, I mean, if you got to throw up a small antenna for local channels, $55 a month, $600 a year times 5 stations. Again, guys, I know cutting dollars is not popular, but that might be something you could consider.
Currently, the stations that could benefit from an online or could do an online subscription would be all of them except for Station 3. Station 3 has it works, but it's not fast and it's not reliable.
It would be
I guess.
Optimum over there.
Well, can we not do NextLink over there? Can NextLink, Station 3 hit NextLink or NextLink hit Station 3?
We can look into that if you'd like me to. We've had off and on problems with Station 3, but it's never been bad enough like this week outage was at Rice Avenue to kind of push it over the line.
I mean, I absolutely support switching over to Nortex.
Yeah.
But, I mean, now with everything available via the internet on TV with smart TVs.
We could probably poll all the EMS employees and see if they are using Netflix more than they're using things like this and kind of get a feel for it too. But I mean, I agree with all the big budget things we have coming up. You know, if all this stuff isn't being utilized, it's a good way to, rob Peter to pay Paul. Of course, I live near Station 3 and I have Optimum, and when it works, but it can be sketchy. I'd sure love to have Nortex over there.
But I don't think that's an option. Have you tried NextLink at all?
I didn't call them. I was thrilled. I don't know much about NextLink, and I just came off of a satellite internet provider, and I was happy to have a hardwired internet for a change. So.
Well, but are you really hardwired with Optimum?
Yeah, I have cable. It's cable internet, which is what was the cat's meow before we had fiber.
We've got NextLink at the county barn, and
you do.
We've got 5G, so. Just a thought, Wes, if you were looking to maybe save $1,
Yeah.
or Darryl, come up with a proposal.
I'd be happy to look into that if you'd like me to.
Do you guys want to approve this one now, or see if there's maybe some additional savings?
I think we need to switch the internet over. Well, are they gonna? I don't think Nortex does. Will they do a contract on the TV? I think it's just if you want it, you want it. If not, they turn it off.
It's just a monthly.
Yeah. So we're not gonna get locked into anything we can't cancel.
If we follow up on it and don't just forget it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Motion to approve the switch to Nortex.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the change to the Rice Avenue EMS to Nortex. Commissioner Snuggs, second. Commissioner Hollowell. Any further discussion? This time, item number 15 passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, item number 16, deliberate and consider possible action regarding the FY 2024 budget. Yay.
I'm sorry, I was just.
Somebody lead off here.
I don't know that we have anything at this point.
I don't. I didn't have a chance to sit down and read it this weekend when we got it, so I think that.
You're gonna have to pass
Pass the one version of that preliminary right now? So,
What now? I'm
we
sorry.
need to set in a preliminary budget.
Right.
Ugh. then we can set another workshop or something, start fine tuning and everything, right? We've got some time to do all that. Okay. When can everybody get together, do more budget workshops?
I don't know, has everybody reviewed her? I mean, she couldn't have had much of a weekend because the numbers and stuff she prepared for us, and we've only had this weekend to look at it. I don't know, you guys ready to, what she's asking us to do is tell her which one of those versions that she wants us to, we want to deal with.
It's just a state rule. At this point, we have to have a preliminary to work through.
Well, if we waited until.
Because they have to be sent out to the departments, that sets the salary grievance period, that sets the putting notices in the paper. I mean,
It's just part of all the deadlines coming up on us. I understand that. I want to get back together and start hashing out the big numbers now that we have them. We can't sit here and do it in this court. We're not enough time. So, I'm trying to pull up that email now.
So you recommending a workshop then?
if you
Yeah,
look.
but we have to, she's saying we have to approve.
I have to put a preliminary budget on file with the county clerk. Or I don't, I'm sorry, the budget officer does.
And that has to be this court. I mean, if we don't.
If you don't, you're pushing this into September.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we can change whatever we need to change from there. We just got to get the basis laid. So,
You can set one and add and subtract to it. all you want.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, it's just the basis to meet this deadline and to get it. And we can set workshops and start fine tuning all the things that we can pay and can't pay for. I mean,
Well, is next week too late
No.
to set a?
that would be, what do you think, Shelley? We need to get something.
What she just said is if you do, you push it out till September. That's what she just said.
If we have budget workshops after today?
No.
No, she said
if
you
you
don't-
wait to do the preliminary.
Couldn't be able for me to even read right now. I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to read it over the weekend.
Well, Shelley, the question is, if we waited until the first part of next week to set that preliminary, would that be?
I have to look to see if it has to be at a regular session or a special. I don't know. You can do
Okay.
it at a special session.
I think I'm out of pocket all next week, pretty much.
Say again?
You're out of pocket next week? Then we need to do something.
We're all out of pocket next week.
Conference.
We're in a conference next week.
What conference?
It's the judges, the north and east judges and commissioners.
Sounds like we need to meet this week.
So,
about
yeah,
Friday
I've got
then.
Again, I don't know if you can do it at a special session.
Yeah.
Well, we can set a preliminary today and then set a workshop to start
Right.
working on it. Yeah.
So I'll let y'all work through it.
You wanna set a preliminary today, is that what you're?
We have to, is what she's saying, or we need to.
We need to.
I don't know which one to pick. I mean, I haven't read them. It was the weekend and I wasn't able to sit and read it. So I don't know.
Well, but you can change it.
We can change it, so I mean, we just need to. Oh, these are backwards. I see. I see.
You have to file one before August 15th.
Oh, so we have a little time. When is the drop dead date where the whole budget has to be approved?
September 3rd.
Okay. So we have 35 days before the preliminary budget has to be filed. I mean, if y'all are gone next week, and I can meet any day this week, start working on it. This is the most important thing that we do, so.
Right.
I'm only available Thursday and Friday.
Repeat that, please.
I'm only available Thursday and Friday this week.
I'd rather do it Thursday than Friday.
Have to be Thursday afternoon, I think that would be.
Right now, we gotta adopt one of them, right?
Pardon?
So right now, we gotta adopt one of these two that she sent us, right?
Yep.
Make a motion to adopt the first one. We only had time to go through half of it right now. Since we got it this morning, but, I mean, we can change it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we
just
can,
gotta-
we can change the
gotta
whole
adopt
thing.
something, right?
Yeah, if it would just get,
Or did you
Get the
have
ball
time to
rolling.
Look through it, Gary?
There's a lot of questions on both of them that we need to discuss.
They're the same budget, one with raises and one without.
Okay.
It-
One with raises, what does that,
Well, you got one with 6% for law enforcement, just as we asked her to do.
right?
Then you have another one with a 3% for the employees. If we go with number one, we eliminate the increase for the employees. Is that correct, Shelley?
Yes.
Okay. Or you go with number two, which has got a 3% increase for employees. That's what you're looking at.
In general fund, that increase is $200,000.
For the 3% increase, yeah.
But that can be changed though.
Well, it depends on which budget. You can't go
No,
back.
you can change a preliminary
Yeah.
budget,
Well,
we
that's
just
what
need
it
to
says. It
set
can all
one.
be changed, right?
Yeah.
But
All be changed.
even if we take the one out for the potential 3%, but,
Yes.
but
Okay, let me resend my motion. Go with the second one. I mean, we can.
you can always pull it
Delete
out.
or add, whatever we need to do. Go with the second one.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion to go with the second budget proposed. We have a motion as Commissioner Sicking, second Commissioner Snows. Any further discussion on what we're about to vote on here?
We just need to talk about a workshop.
Yeah.
We can vote and then we can set a workshop, or we can set a workshop by email.
Yeah.
Call it.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote on this then. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And there are none. The action that was taken was we have approved the second proposed budget for FY 2024. And we're going to now discuss workshop or when we're going to get together again. Did Thursday or Friday would be good for me.
You can't do Thursday morning.
Well, I can.
Y'all think just saying
Always.
the second budget's gonna be enough to explain which one?
No, it just changes to the preliminary budget from now on.
No, what she's saying is, did we define the budget that the preliminary budget that we're actually making the motion?
Second proposed.
But,
Y'all just voted on it.
but what is second proposed is what she's saying.
That's okay to just say second budget, I mean.
The preliminary budget that
Includes
totals-
3%.
That's what I
Well,
said, don't it need to say the 3%? Just making sure.
Or it needs to needs to have the bottom line number.
Yeah. Well, but she's right, just to say second
Yeah, no, I
proposed.
understand. No, I understand.
Nobody
I would
knows
just
what
think it's the
second
bottom
is.
line number.
I don't know, you need to say it. I
That
don't
is-
know what y'all say.
that adopts, that proposes,
Would it be sufficient one that says, the one that proposes a 3% raise across the board?
yes, and equals $29,880,736.
Did you get all that, ma'am? Okay.
Lots of
That's for
numbers.
that's general fund.
Yeah, doesn't include road and bridge and all that other stuff. What is
Okay.
it? It's 30, it's almost 40 million once you go back and add road and bridge and everything
That's
else,
all
right?
fund, that's all taxing fund, that's every single
I
fund.
think obviously budget is more important than moving this on Thursday, so Thursday or Friday's good with me.
You might want to do Thursday and Friday.
Yeah,
You
just-
better set them both
Yeah,
aside.
because we gotta post it. We gotta post it. So how about like, what time can you be here, Shelley?
I'm sorry, what?
You go to like 9 o'clock Thursday and Friday? Anybody got an issue with that? We might be able to knock most of it out Thursday, but just in case by Friday. Oh, you were shooting the road. Well, my guy, I mean, Charles will be there.
When do you, how about if we get together at 1 o'clock on Thursday?
That's fine. And then
And
maybe
then we
9
have- still
o'clock.
have
then
Friday-
early-
and
then
9 o'clock
early.
Friday.
Yeah, early Friday.
That give us a chance to.
That work? Work out? Okay, so. Get her
Okay.
to post for Thursday at 1 o'clock and Friday at 9 o'clock.
And this is a workshop.
Budget workshop,
Okay.
just like we had for the budget. She ran off, but we'll just remember to tell her
Yeah.
when she gets back. Okay.
All right then. Anybody disagree with that, or everybody make that okay? All right.
We need it Thursday, or do it 2 days? You're kind of on under.
Yeah, like I said,
Just in case we need it.
1 o'clock Thursday and 9 o'clock Friday. Okay. Is there anything else we need to do on item 16?
What?
Passed proposed budget. We've set a workshop. Anything else we need to do on that?
I think so.
Okay.
I wouldn't set a workshop. You can't make any decisions in a workshop.
Right.
In court. We need to set it as a meeting. Okay, we need to set it as a meeting.
And be able to take
To
action.
be able to take
Okay, so
action.
this
So
will be
it'd be
a-
like a special meeting.
Should we do a special meeting then? Okay.
Special court.
We're gonna have special court then that begins at 1 o'clock on Thursday. We can do one court, right? Just adjourn overnight and come back and resume on Friday at 9 o'clock. Did you get all that down? You got room to write all of that down? Okay. So it'll be a special meeting so we can make decisions. All right, item number 17, deliberate and consider possible action regarding broadband services. Commissioner Snubbs.
No action at this time.
Item number 17 is no action. Item 18, deliberate and consider possible action regarding Cooke County EMS and fire pager system. Commissioner Horn.
Still working on some pagers right now and some towers and stuff like that.
Okay.
I know that, Ray's out today, I believe.
I think he's gone all week.
Yeah. But I know that we got our, I don't know, Shelley, if you got the bill from Trot, where they're at.
Yes. They billed us for half, I think.
About half of what it was supposed to be. Unless there's anything else that we need them to go out and test. You know, they'll do it, but right now we're at, the invoice was $46,4876.
Can I talk to that a little bit, Adam?
Yep.
I know we've had concerns about coverage, and I know some of the concerns was if we chose to go 700 with EMS, there was concern about whether or not the fire departments would get the page.
Got a money shelter right back.
Impact that it would have on dispatch and how much it would delay the page and the notifications. We had some other concerns about towers. We haven't had the advantage of having actually the people, the end users involved. And so I have asked Riley as a communications supervisor to come up and address any concerns you guys might have as far as impact on dispatchers and how that works, and how effective we think that will be, if that's okay with the court. Identify yourself, if you will, please, Riley, and thanks for being here this morning. And any questions, now's a good time to ask because
He gone.
he's
I'm
been.
gone.
Yeah,
My name's Riley
he's
Metz.
gone and he's been part of this on both the radio side and on the pager side. And in addition, full disclosure, we done some UHF testing. There was some question as to whether or not the Nortex tower would work out off of 922. It won't, so we can rule that out as far as UHF. My concern is if we, for some reason, digital doesn't work, what's our fallback position? You know, this has been of the essence now for about 8 weeks, and we're concerned about missing a page. So we did do some of that. Nortec's not going to work, so well, let's first bite this apple one at a time. Any concerns you have about the impact it's going to have on communications and dispatch, or?
Me?
He's there. I mean,
Well, my name's Riley Metzer. I'm the Director of Communications for the Cooke County Sheriff's Office, just so I can say I identified myself. If y'all have any questions about, as Gary said, how this may impact our communications operators or operations at dispatch, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have.
one of the concerns was how much delays are going to be between, okay, in this scenario, if we go 700 for EMS only, okay, they will be paged via radio wherever they are, because you had a concern is what happens if they're on the west side of the county.
No, I'm saying on the UHF.
Well, okay, if they're on the west side of the county on 700, it's a non-issue.
What Commissioner Holliswell says is correct. If we do switch EMS to page off of the 700, they won't have a pager like this anymore. It'll be a non-issue. We'll have what's called page group. We'll lump their radios and their station alerting system into the page group. And when we page them, it won't really be a page anymore. It'll be a radio alert.
Is that going over their system?
Yes.
Is that going over their radios?
Yes. And it is, it's instant.
So, is that
And
a
there's
talk
no-
channel? Is that another talk channel?
No, it'll tone right out over the top of EMS. So a tone takes generally less than 30 seconds. These will I can't remember what the minute or 6, and Wesley will have to tell me, how long does a minute or 6 record? It's only like 60 seconds, isn't it?
Yeah, depending on what we set up each individual.
Right.
message.
And I think just about everything we do is it's less than 30 seconds is a general tone. The time on the talk group will be negligible in the grand scheme of things, with there only being 5 EMS stations and 1 rescue truck. That's really just 6 people on the channel at any given time.
Well, I think we're getting worse.
And
We're
then,
going to do that because now you're going to tone fire department for a medical and EMS are going to be on 2 separate deals, 2 separate times.
No, it's all simultaneous. So what it'll look like for my communications operators is there'll be a button. There'll be 1 button for EMS, medic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rescue, however you want to set it, however we decide to set it up. And when they select that second fire department, for example, Lindsay and medic 1, the fire department won't hear that traditional EMS tone, but they will hear attention EMS Station 1 and Lindsay Fire Department need to be en route to 401 6th Street for a medical. They'll hear it. It'll just be like the tone for EMS is not there because it's going out over a different system, but it's simultaneous and it's instant. One of the other added benefits that we would get by going to a 700-800 page system, radio alert system, is that it will send a data packet back to my console and alert the console, let the console know, hey, EMS's equipment is working properly and they did receive the page. Which is something, of course, we don't have now because that's just not how the UHF system is designed to work.
Is that an additional on this 7-800? Is it a cost?
Commissioner Hollowell, I'm not sure if there's radios available, but it would be an additional 4 radios for EMS, I believe. And of course, I defer to you guys on what we have and what we have just been there.
yeah, well, Wes, if you will too, will you step up here, and we're going to interact you in this too. My understanding to page EMS on 7, and don't leave there, Riley, please.
Oh, well,
to page EMS on 700, which I believe should give us about 100% coverage and reliability, you're going to need to install 4 single-band Apex radios at the EMS stations. We wouldn't need one at EMS 1, as I understand it, because we already have a base station there.
They currently have a 7-800 base, multi-band base at Station 1. The only thing that would probably have to be done is they would want to tie it into the overhead alerting system. I don't know that it goes over the current speakers over through every single bedroom. So that would have to be something that would be investigated, but there is one already at Station 1.
So in theory, what should happen when they page them out on 700, whether they're at a station or they're out in their ambulance, it's going to come out over the radio, over the 700.
Yes.
Okay? It looks like we may need 4 single-band 700 radios. And Wesley, what are we talking about, $3,000-$4,000 a piece?
Yeah, somewhere, just a rough estimate. They're all on state contract, of course, but somewhere around for the radio system itself. And then they should already have overhead speaker system and paging amplifiers in place. There shouldn't be any reason that we can't share that same audio source that's already at each station.
So that would, I mean, if we're truly concerned about EMS and them getting their calls.
EMS and the fire.
Well, but what I'm understanding right now is if we go 700, our EMS is there, our fire then will also be notified simultaneously through either digital, if that's the way you guys decide to go, or UHF. Okay. And then I think there was some question and concerns about our current UHF pagers and the fact that we needed multi-channel pagers. We don't have a true multicast type system, so Wes can talk to that to help you understand that our current UHF system will accommodate 4 or 5 paging frequencies. It's all one frequency, but it PL codes.
Yeah. Yeah, the current UHF system, and it's the survey or study that y'all got back was a little misleading, and it may have been, they didn't know all the background info. So the difference between a multicast system and what you have is just taking 2 repeaters like what you guys have today. Multicast means that each repeater transmits and receives on different frequencies, requiring you to have multi-channel pagers in the field. So if you were on the east side, you would be on the east repeater, channel 1. If you're on the west side, you would be on west repeater. Both repeaters transmit and receive on the same frequencies. It's not multicasting. It's not simulcasting because they're never on the air at the same time. One's transmitting, and when that one's done, the other one's stopped. That's what allows you to use a single channel pager you have today. Just because you introduce a 3rd repeater, UHF, doesn't mean you've got to have multi-channel pagers. As long as that 3rd repeater is acting in conjunction with the way the existing 2 are set up, you can still do it off a single channel pager. Because from a dispatch perspective, I know it seems complicated, it's really not. They just have a button on the screen. So if they're hitting Munster, Lindsay, Oak Ridge, they can actually stack all 3 buttons in a call, send them out simultaneously, because what's going on is it's sending one and then back to back sending the other one, back to back sending the 3rd, and they're doing one broadcast for all 3. But because the output frequency is the same on each channel, that's why you only got to have a single channel pager. If you were doing a true multicast system, then yeah, you would need to have, a 5-channel pager is the max you can get on the current Minotaur system. So it's not really multicast, and I don't know, I highly doubt try to intentionally let anybody that they probably just didn't know the back end on how the infrastructure currently works. Paging between 700 and UHF, it can go out simultaneously because it's different infrastructure. So in the scenario like you guys used with, you have a car wreck, which obviously would be a rescue unit from a fire and then an EMS call, they can actually tone out EMS on the 700 simultaneously while paging out UHF. When they do that broadcast, just like Riley had mentioned, they can broadcast simultaneously on 700 and UHF. So it's not like, granted, fire won't hear the EMS page on UHF, but they're going to hear the same broadcast simultaneously that EMS is going to hear at the same time they broadcast it out on fire. So it's like they're all on UHF. even if they're not, if you did go down that scenario. The nice thing about doing a digital page versus an analog page is with analog, there's no feedback from the device. The only way you know anybody got it is they picked up the phone and said page received and we're on the route. On a 700 page or even a VHF digital page, when using a base station at EMS, the console sends out a data packet. The base station says, hey, that's me, and it sends a data packet back. So he gets a green check mark on his end that tells him that equipment worked without anybody having to get on the radio and say anything. It doesn't tell him they're in the station, right, but it monitors the equipment. So he knows if there's a failed page to station 5 on 700, he's going to get a red X and he's going to know that equipment didn't function. Now, from a pager perspective, since a pager is just a receiver, they don't transmit a data packet back. So on digital paging, unless you're doing it to a handheld or a base radio, you're not going to get any response back at all because it's a one-way.
So it may be that we're looking at considering 2 or 3 different options. One may be, say we go with the digital if it works. You're talking about buying pagers, okay? You're talking about then utilizing an existing channel to page from. So, and I think currently the plan was to try to use emergency management. Well, as we grow and emergency management gets more busier, if you're paging out, then you shut the channel down for everything else. Is that correct? On a digital channel?
You're gonna do that on 700 too.
But you're gonna have a whole lot less traffic on 700. We're just talking about EMS versus fire. Fire, you got a whole lot more going on.
And something else to add, EMS, and I know because I went over and trained them, they have the ability on their CAD system in their computer, and of course that's only getting better with the addition of the mobile routers that are going to be installed at a later date and all that, that if the channel, if they're paging out and they're talking on that channel to page out an ambulance, it's not unheard of for the driver or the person in the back to push the en route button, the on scene button down in Denton. There is other ways to communicate with that box that may not be over that particular radio, that frequency. So there, like I said, there's other options. When we put the computers back in the ambulances with the CAD, that was the whole idea, was to make sure that they had the ability to put their own times in if they had to.
But looks like we're looking at a digital at the biggest expense there. If they're $700, does that include programming, Wes, on those? Okay. So depending on whether you got 240, 300 pagers, whatever that is, you're looking at what y'all said, 100.
Well, they make a dual band on that too, a digital 800 digital.
Not for the same money though, right?
They ain't that much more.
Yeah, and I don't know that necessarily we would need them, but
If you're gonna, why would you look at that if you're gonna do?
What I'm looking at, I'm thinking is maybe a $40,000 solution versus a $170,000 solution.
But you haven't taken care of the fire departments yet.
If we can page them UHF effectively, why haven't I taken care of them?
Well, you aren't right now. What's gonna change on the UHF side?
Okay. It's going to require, in theory, should be a 3-pager, a 3-site system, basically.
So you gotta find the sites, right?
Okay, and working on that. Okay. If we do a tower in the southeast part of the county, takes care of the south part of the county. We use Pentex, which is going to take care of the west part of the county. If we put a repeater at Walnut Bend, it takes care of Walnut Bend and Sybil's Bend. Okay? The only thing it would cost us right now is one repeater, which is somewhere around $25,000. So, because we've got one at Pentex, we've got one that's currently out here on the water tower, so we need one for the third site. Okay? Working on a third site, like I said, these guys were out Friday, Saturday, doing some UHF testing. Thursday. There's another tower on 922 east of the Nortex Tower that again, we haven't done our due diligence to go out and look and research for alternatives. But you'd end up with a 3-tower system at the cost being probably the cost of a repeater, the installation of 2 antennas, and then tower rent. Tower rent, it seems that there may be some less expensive alternatives to what we saw in our proposal. So if it's a couple of $100 a month, $400 a month, that's $4,800 a year versus $170,000 front money to go buy pagers.
You put a generator there, there's some more money.
Yeah. Well,
You already got generators at all your other sites. We own all those sites.
well, we
I just don't know why we would go lease something else.
well, it's our understanding digital's not real good as far as penetrating buildings. If we had any luck, you guys testing pagers, how they working?
We got a problem on the emergency management channel, so I don't know if we got to get that fixed first.
It was designed to work on a radio system, not a pager system. We're gonna alter that.
Your 7-800, same thing.
No, they're not. They're
That
not.
frequency doesn't matter how that channel carries.
We-
That page is just data. It's just voice data.
Well, not an analog, it's not data.
Not-
An analog, it's voice. Yeah, I think one thing to keep in mind, and it's just something, I obviously don't live in Cooke County, and I'm not a fireman in Cooke County, but I think one thing to keep in mind is there's pros and cons to everything. The reason they went UHF years ago was because of in-building penetration. VHF, digital or analog, is just never going to penetrate like UHF will. It's a larger wavelength. So brick, steel, drywall, wood slat, I don't care what your home's made out of, you get more absorption from VHF, so you get less penetration. UHF is a smaller wavelength, takes less power, less signal in there. They all absorb, but VHF absorbs much faster. Digital VHF has a little bit of advantage over digital analog because you're right, it is a data packet. So it's not an analog audio. So it does takes less signal to get to it to activate it, but to get the voice, you still have to have the signal. 700 is a viable option. When you're talking about 700, I think one thing we come back to, that we came back to before, is you still got to look at capacity, right? You've got 3 channels. One's a control channel, 2 are dedicated SO and fire. So if you threw everything in and said, we're just going to page everybody on 700, that becomes another issue. You got multiple calls coming up. These guys are trying to get a page. The console will try to send it out multiple times. But if it tries to go out and somebody gets a key up and a key up, and until you get more capacity on 700, I just don't know if that's a viable option. Once the capacity's there, that might be a good viable option.
What are you talking about viable options, though, is you're suggesting a dual mode pagers for fire departments.
Just like the pager you're currently looking at, you would do the G5, which you can do in VHF 7-800 or VHF, UHF, whatever bands you want to combine. That may be a viable option. I just think there's a lot more to consider before you go down the road of buying a whole bunch of VHF pagers and putting yourself in that situation before you look at the big picture. I think there's a lot more viable options on UHF. There's more towers that in the southeast part of the county than that were surveyed. And from an in-building penetration, that's going to be your best option from an in-building penetration.
Let me ask a question here. Are we anywhere close to a decision today or not? I would like to continue this discussion if we can come to a conclusion, primarily because this is Riley's last day. I think he has something to add to this. But if we're not close to a decision yet, it might be that the main players need to get together and bring it back in a couple of weeks or something like that. What do y'all think?
to me, it's for this court. I think I have some understanding of what's going on. I'm, as usual, looking at dollars and cents. We've had some engineering type folks come and give us some scenarios, but they don't know what our operations are. These guys understand how dispatch works, and that's what they're telling you is how dispatch works and what the viable options are. First, I appreciate both of you for showing up. I mean, Wesley's got a business to run, and he's here to help us out. They took time Thursday and done some testing. Only reason I asked them to get involved in that is I don't want to wait. Well, I mean, we've been working on this 6 to 8 weeks, and like I said, not a whole lot closer. And if digital doesn't work, then we're going to be back like we were several weeks ago, going out and looking for a tower so that we can run our UHF. So, yeah, I mean, if you...
What kind of problems do we have right now with the paging system?
One more time, I'm sorry.
What kind of problems do we have with our paging system right now?
So currently, and this is just kind of 30,000 foot view, if you go too far east in the county, specifically southeast, there's very little to no coverage. North Shore has been historic for that. You go up in the far northern end of the county, Dexter, coverage isn't horrible, it's not great. Of course, the big change was when we were forced off of that tower by the boys' prison. That was a great tower, great location. It was not by any means ideal, but it was the best county could get. We moved it over to Rice Avenue. It's too low and too far away from the south end, and then we moved it to a water tower. Water tower is in a better location. It's just not up on top of that ridge, or we can't get out and above that ridge. On Thursday, we went and checked the tower at, what was that?
NTX.
NTX Tower down in Valley View. And it's just about, I would say like 100 feet too short. And it's full of antennas and everything else. You just can't get over the tops of the trees to bounce down into North Shore. While we were there, I think we identified 3 additional towers that were of sufficient height and location to make things work. But of course, that information's been forwarded on, and I think you're trying to see what we can do with them. So the big issue is that EMS at Station 3 wasn't getting their tones. We moved the tower. Now they're getting their tones, but North Shore is still not getting their tones. Valley View is having a hard time. Callisburg, I think, is sitting pretty, but I know as you go further south in the county, there's just no infrastructure down there.
But when we had the 100-watt tower sitting at 100-watt repeater at the tower by State School, we had a pretty solid system.
It was still pretty spotty in North Shore, but it was better than it is now.
But in the testing you guys ran, you were pretty impressed at the North Tex tower at your UHF signal. We just couldn't get from the tower back to...
We did, he was standing on the ground, and we could hear dispatch on a simplex. So the repeater input frequency, we could hear it just fine. I jumped up on top of the shelter there, and I could talk to dispatch. It was scratchy, but they could understand me, which means, on a 5-watt handheld sitting on top of that hill, I could reach back and talk to dispatch on a handheld UHF, not through a repeater. So, and that to me, that was a pretty big deal, which means you go right down the road, and on the north side of it, to whatever tower, whatever's down there, that's about as far away as we wanted to go anyway, and it worked rather well. So reach from dispatch is not an issue. It's just finding a location and getting equipment on the tower to best service the fire departments at this point.
If you can find some other locations in the southeast part of the county.
Do what? I'm sorry, John?
Yeah, I said, did you find some other locations that you mentioned?
Oh, we identified at least 2 additional towers. I know there's the one, I can't remember who owns that. Vertical Bridge, and then there, of course, there's another one. It's a large broadcasting tower over by Lake Kiowa. We just have to find out who owns it.
But the Vertical Bridge tower it appears not to be a commercial type tower, which we may be able to get for...
it's a broadcast tower.
For just a broadcast tower that we may be able to get for less money. Okay?
But it would only service North Shore.
Well, it's not just...
Well, no. There's one at Randy Travis's house, but it would only hit North Shore because it's the farther southernmost eastern part of county.
But
Really,
see,
it depends how tall it is. The taller the tower, and if you can get up, I mean, if you're on the ridge and you can get up high enough, it's not just, I mean, 100 watts, it'll hit Valley View. I mean, for how many years did we have just the one tower? You know, and I'm not saying that by any means is a viable alternative, but, you know, with adding that second tower, you got the east side. By adding a third tower down south, you're going to get the south end. And your existing network will still work. If something ever was to happen to these 700-800 or it was to go down, you won't be able to page off of it, you can still have a backup system.
You look at the tower down at the wastewater plant in Valley View.
Which one's that one?
No, we're trying to get further east, Judge.
Southeast. Yeah, it's further southeast. If
Something
it's the one I'm thinking of, I think that's a big cell tower.
The tower that we're looking at is 600 foot, and so they think that's ample with where it's located to get over the ridge, I think is what I heard you guys say, without any issues. And it will transmit UHF back to the sheriff's office from there because it's not too terribly far from the Nortex tower.
With the paging, it's really just a one-way conversation, right? It's dispatch talking into the repeater broadcasting the pager. In theory, they can talk back on UHF, but they don't.
No, I'm just saying it done a good job as far as from dispatch to that tower.
Yeah.
And if the other tower is acceptable, then it's a no-brainer from there to the
Especially when you go up 300 feet on a 600, you know, or on a 600-700 foot tower, you go up 300 feet. You will have no issue. You shouldn't have any issue.
I mean, we're concerned about generators and stuff of that nature. Where it's sitting now is an unsecured building without climate control.
And no generator.
And no generator. I mean,
that's a problem.
Yeah, and so, I mean.
And where it was, I mean, and I know I've talked to almost every one of you about it at one point or another. Where it was out at the old boys prison, there wasn't even a battery backup. I mean, there wasn't anything out there.
Yeah, I don't know why we couldn't do solar.
You know,
Do solar backup.
And if you have battery, hey, there's lots of options. But there wasn't any of that out the boys' prison. And I'll never forget all the power going out 2 years ago when it was -8 and that paging tower went down. There wasn't anything, nothing you could do. We paged off the west tower and just did what we had to, you know, and we just made it work. Fortunately, this new system makes all that a lot easier. If y'all haven't been up to dispatch to see it, you know, I know the sheriff said last court, you know, he's more than welcome for y'all to come up and look at it. It's something to see. It's no more the little box that's got the east and the west, and you just kind of got to figure it out. You know, when the system was built, we looked at everything to make sure that the right towers were towing in the right departments. So there was no guesswork. There was no look for the caps lock. You know, look for the all cap data. So.
Again, I thank you guys. I just wanted to hear so if the court had any questions, you know, you're the guys that out there with it every day, one installing, one operating it. I don't know any two guys in the North Texas area that knows more about what we're doing than you two guys do. And so, you know, I have a tendency to reach out to these guys, and even though some of us, we don't always agree, we know that, we're still looking, we have the same common goal of trying to do what's in the best interest of Cooke County. So, again, I thank you. I appreciate the court's indulgence. But if you had questions, it sure would be nice for you to field them while they're here. I understand them over the weekend digital, they was having difficulty getting into the sheriff's office. They couldn't hear it at the sheriff's office. And that's pretty close to the Pentex tower. Being able to hear the digital pager inside the sheriff's office?
He talking about hearing the digital pager inside the sheriff's office. I know we were having issues that morning getting the pager to go off while we were in the building.
Yeah, we had to get closer to the exterior wall and we had to go off. But I don't know how hard and all that was when we ran inside. We had to get close to the front to get it actually happen.
And that is something that when we were testing all the VHF with our radios inside of that building, that was something that we did run into. But
was that on the emergency management digital?
Yes.
Yeah, but even if you go on the fire and you walk within the interior of the building, I mean, fire even dissipates even on handheld.
Like there's
a pager's never going to pick up like a handheld because the pager is way less sensitive than portable.
And I have my APX 6000 VHF radio, and I'm standing in dispatch, and sometimes, you know, when we were testing stuff, there was no getting out. It's just best if you go outside.
Well,
you know,
if we
by hand.
decide to say, oh, the emergency management channel's not working, we're gonna go do it on the commissioner's
No, it's-
frequency here, you're
So,
still
right.
subject to have issues with any one of
Yeah,
those.
the spread between your transmit and receive frequencies on emergency management are way closer than fire. So there's more loss to the cavities. Because there's more loss to the cavities, there's less output. So emergency management isn't, there's no two systems out there that are identical. Emergency management's not gonna perform identical to fire because it's getting less output to the antenna. Because you've only got like a 2.75 meg spread, or there's like a little over 3 meg between fires, so where it's more efficient. Same thing, commissioners, it's, y'all are a little over 3. Commissioners is gonna outperform a little better. And it's 15 watts, 18 miles away, makes a big difference, especially when we're talking about inside
Well, we need to check that tower down there, the 600-foot tower, see if it's a possibility or what.
I've already reached out to them, all we're waiting on is the price.
You are saying that could be a fix right there.
It'd be a viable option. At least it's something to look at.
I mean, it's just something to consider, it's not,
Right.
but it's, I mean, even if you go put a generator on it and you pay $5,000 a year or whatever for rent and put a $20,000 repeater on it, you're still in it for less than $70,000. And then if you add another 30 to take EMS 700, you're at 100,000.
I would not do that.
I understand.
Because you're cutting your fire guys to where they don't even know, they can't talk to them to begin with.
But that's not, they're telling you they're gonna get the same page.
You can tell me all you want, Gary. Get out there in the field and I'll show you.
All I can do is go,
That's a user issue. The fire can switch over and talk on VHF, it's there, the ability's there.
They do all the time.
It's whether or not they choose to switch over and talk to VHF is not an infrastructure issue, that's an operating radio issue.
Fire tries to talk to you.
He means, when he says fire, Adam, he means EMS.
I'm talking about
EMS can
fire
choose.
talking to EMS. EMS has VHF ability and so
Right.
Right. If fire's hollering at EMS, the ability of EMS to talk on VHF is there.
Sure.
It's there, it's 100% there, that interoperability. Let me give this to you, Jim.
that's been miscommunicated since the whole process. That we can't talk, and that's not true. We just don't switch channels to do it.
Wes, do y'all have y'all's radios programmed in the ambulances for fire to monitor or scan? Do they answer them when they call? Can you make that happen? If they will?
Sure, they hear it. 700 is busy, it's not a priority channel, so it's not going,
Right.
something's coming on a priority channel, it's not going to let them hear.
Right. You're right, yeah. It's, if they're not, and here's the deal, and it's something I really, with a lot of people, they turn that scan off, and say, I don't hear that.
No,
Yeah,
they need to be able to, I know like Valley View, they're trying to call the ambulance on digital fire and they're not getting a response.
And that's a user issue, but if 700's busy, we know that you key up, you can't talk more than 60 seconds on 700 and it cuts you off. So they might have to call twice, but you guys already hear it.
Should be coming through.
Is that not true, Wes? 60 seconds and it cuts you off on 700? You can only transmit
What you're
for,
referring to is the timeout timer. The timeout timer of the radio is set for 90, so.
except for 90.
If you're talking more than 90 seconds on the radio, it's gonna bomb and say, hey, you've talked too long. But most transmissions are probably 30 seconds or less on average, I'm sure.
Yeah, so they should be able to rekey and yell. So we may need your help, Wes, to reach out and tell your guys, hey, they really do need to be monitoring that because a lot of this is user issues.
Okay, once again, are we gonna make a decision on this today?
No.
All right,
Hey, Judge.
Sure.
Another option is intended, is the VHF long. That should be our interop channel. Our talks on it, some of the records talk on it, but that was the primary channel. Now that should be our interop channel. Because everybody has it, everybody talks.
I wish we had you on speaker there, Sheriff. I don't know if they can hear you. Sorry.
Yeah, I said the VHF law channel, which was our primary channel that we communicated on, that has now become the interop channel. Fire can talk on that to us, we can talk to them. Naturally, we can change down to Fire Digital, but that VHF is just sitting there ready to be used. And so any police department, any fire department can communicate with us on that VHF channel. That's what it's intended for now. That's why we're keeping it up. And it's also our fallback. If we do lose 700, we lose connectivity, then we have to drop down and communicate on that VHF channel as well.
So fire can talk on that.
Absolutely.
EMS can talk on that. Everybody can
Absolutely.
talk on that.
Also, as far as 700 backup now, we've received all the modems, all the hardware necessary to complete our AT&T LTE link. So it's just a matter of getting it scheduled to be installed. So we should have a backup solution there.
Do y'all think y'all could let Riley get up there? Y'all stand up, we get a photograph before, because I imagine he's getting ready to bail out of here.
I don't know. It depends. You think Riley wants to have a picture with us? That might be the question.
He sat in the judge's seat.
Yeah.
No, gosh, no. I'll stand next to him.
Shelley's still gonna get it.
Yeah, you need to ask Riley first.
All right, 1, 2, 3, let's get another one. 1, 2, 3.
Are we handling?
You too, Riley.
Hey,
Don't ask Bill.
appreciate you.
Love you. Appreciate it.
Don't be a stranger. Call us when there's food.
I have a feeling we'll hear from you from time to time.
Y'all need anything? Just say hi.
Okay, so is item number 18 no action?
Yep.
Item number 18 is no action. Item number 19, deliberate and consider possible landfills in Cooke County. Commissioner Sickey.
We have no action on that, right?
Item 19 is no action. Item 20, deliberate and consider possible action regarding Main Street parking lot.
They're planning for the sidewalks in the morning.
Okay.
That's about it.
But no action.
Sidewalks, and clean it up and strap it.
Open areas out there now.
Yeah. So,
In the open areas.
yeah.
But no action this time.
No grass, like we talked about.
No grass, no rocks.
No grass.
What kind of scape do they call it when it has no grass?
All right.
Hardscape. Are we doing some rocks in some spots?
Well, there's part of that I thought was gonna be,
We talked about putting everything in concrete, I thought.
Yeah, that's what
I thought they talked about rock maybe because it's cheaper than concrete.
Remember we talked about the kids throwing rocks?
Yeah, I don't know where we ended up.
I don't know, I just remember Jason, we talked about doing it ourselves, bringing rock in.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, that's right. For some reason, I thought some of that was gonna be all concrete, but you're right. It's gonna
Throw
be-
down some
There's gonna be
barrier,
a little bit of skates there that's gonna be rock, I think.
throw down some type of barrier so grass doesn't come through it.
You got no action, man. On 20. Item 21, deliberate and consider possible action regarding real property on Highway 82.
No action. Yeah, no action.
No action
What-
on 21. 22 is deliberate and consider possible action regarding the Crest Building, and there's no action at this
Well,
time.
Up.
Can we, we're gonna need to go to executive on that, but can we skip that one and maybe do libraries?
Yeah, Ricky has
Can we come back to 22, Judge?
If you wish. Okay, item number 23, deliberate and consider possible action on the library facilities project.
Good morning, you guys. Ricky had to go to another meeting, so he did want me to let you know that he's still waiting on the bid, the second bid for the lettering for the front of the building. He hasn't received it yet. The carpet guys came back on Thursday and have started another section, and they're again today. So they should have the stacks. So basically, the whole west side of the building will have the new carpet by the end of tomorrow for sure, and then we'll start working on the south side and moving up. So we're trying to figure out how we're gonna do the closing stuff with the back. And Gainesville Glass still hasn't come to seal the windows on that north side. I just hate to put carpet there and then we have to put new carpet there again.
Don't let them do it.
So, well, that's I'm fighting for it, but, and I'd like to call Gainesville Glass and ask them to hurry up
We
and
can call Brian.
Yeah, I can call
Yeah,
Brian.
somebody reach out to Brian, see if we can.
Okay, all right. I think that's it. Do you guys have any more questions? That's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Item 22, or I'm sorry, item 23 is no action. We'll skip 22, we'll come back to that.
No,
Item 24, deliberate and consider possible action regarding the annex election room remodel. And as far as I know, there's no action on that. I don't think.
They're working on it, don't they?
Do what?
We selected a contractor, so they're working on it, right? They're getting ready?
No.
Okay, we selected somebody. Yeah, okay.
Item 24 is no action. Item 25, deliberate and consider possible action regarding proposed way station. 25 is no action. 26, deliberate and consider possible action regarding various grant funds. Shelley, what do you know about that?
Basically, no action on either one of them.
Okay. So item number 26, A and B, no action. Okay. Now we'll return to item 22, and you want to go into
Yeah, we need to go into
executive
executive
session?
And we need to go off camera. I don't think there's any reason for Pam or Shelley to leave. There's nothing, I mean, that way we don't have to go back and get them. This should take
2 seconds.
And there's essentially no action that was decided on item number 22.
Yep.
Out of executive session. Okay.
We live?
Do what now?
Yep, did we get there?
Oh, yes, sir, you got it.
Okay,
So,
No action.
we're ready to adjourn, I think.
we're ready for item number 27, if anybody.
Motion.
Motion, Commissioner Snuggs.
Second?
Second, Commissioner Hollowell. All in favor? Aye. Any
Is
opposed?
We made it by noon.
Does everybody need to sign that?
Oh, no, just to judge
Okay.
the agenda,
What, y'all got the contract?
No, the
post the agenda.
posting the agenda.
Me.